The results for Kenya Airways for the first 6 months to September 12th have not been very good. As we did report, we did make a turnover of 48 billion shillings, but that was 5 billion below the position last year. And because of the dual season and fuel costs being high, the net effect is that we did make a loss before tax of 6.8 billion shillings. We are not pleased about that. But again, the main driver, as I said, has been the shortfall in revenue. And the shortfall in revenue, as we said in the investor brief, has mainly been because of a reduction in passenger numbers, primarily from Europe because of the Eurozone crisis, and also a huge reduction in tourists into Kenya, especially in Mombasa, because of the travel advisories.
Now, the fuel costs are accounting for over 50% of your direct operating costs. What initiatives are you coming up with to reduce this?
Fuel, yes, you are correct, is over 50% of the direct operating costs. It is, in fact, the biggest operating cost in all airlines. As in this business, there are several initiatives we do take to mitigate this high cost. The first one that I'm sure you're familiar with is hedging. We do have a fairly active hedging program, and what that does is that it takes out the risk in the price volatility, so that when prices go beyond the hedged levels, we do not have to incur that increased fuel costs. The other thing we do is that we charge our passengers what we call a fuel surcharge. We do pass on an element of the fuel hikes to passengers by way of fuel surcharge. We cannot obviously pass as much as we'd like because of competition. The other thing that is unique to Kenya Airways, we are part of the AFRA initiative. We have combined volumes of all African airlines in Africa, and we are going to fuel suppliers and saying, this is the amount of volume that we have, we want better discounts. We expect that from a Kenyan Airways perspective will reduce our fuel cost by at least $2 million.
You're also bringing in the new Dreamliners. Any chance that this fuel cost could go further down?
The Dreamliner is being called the game changer. It's going to have a significant impact on operating costs. It is been designed to be a replacement for the 767. Now, if you compare the 787 fuel burn, they have demonstrated that you will get a 20% saving on fuel burn. And then if you look at maintenance costs, the expectation is that we'll be able to reduce maintenance costs by up to 30% because of the new technologies, carbon fiber. You don't have to nuts and bolts all over the place that need to be checked every 3-4 years. So given a 30% reduction in maintenance, 20% reduction in fuel burn, we expect that as we start getting our Dreamliners in 2014, that the operating costs will come down.
Lastly, Alex, we've seen tremendous growth in Kenya Airways over the last few years. How are you expecting to grow without hurting the top line?
When we did the rights issue about a year ago, we talked about our 10-year plan. Our 10-year plan is very deliberate. In fact, as you may recall, we called it Project Mawingu. It's very deliberate, and it's very comprehensive in terms of what destinations will fly, when, and why. This has been as a result of a lot of research. So we are not buying aeroplanes because they're available. We are not going and buying them willy-nilly. We have a specific plan of where we see the traffic will be at a particular time in the future, and we are positioning ourselves to be able to take advantage of the low-hanging fruit, as we call it. In fact, it is actually correct to say that the growth in the passenger demand and capacity and so on is actually faster than you have been able to acquire aeroplanes. Because in our industry, you can't just walk into a workshop and buy an aeroplane. It takes a bit of time. So there is a huge opportunity, both in Africa and Asia, and linking Africa to Asia. And so we believe that because of the low-hanging fruit, it should not be a problem to be able to fill up this. And indeed, the ones we've already taken so far, we are finding the cabin factors are quite high.